Good afternoon, everybody. We appreciate your coming today. Got a few updates regarding the recovery efforts from the Almeda fire to update you on. First item to cover is the debris cleanup. We were hopeful that we would see a lot of contractors working starting on Monday, January 4th, for this cleanup effort, and they have not started yet. And they probably will not be starting until the middle of this month. And some of the challenges that they've run into is there's a lot of preparatory work to prepare to get an effort this large ready to go to where the contractors will be busy and working productively. And so some of the things that are being conducted right now and being finished up is the contracts have all been signed with the contractors and getting that ready to go. They're placing air monitoring stations throughout the cleanup area. So as they're dealing with hazardous materials, especially including asbestos, they're placing air monitoring stations, getting those things operational, and ensuring that they are working well. They're marking every single cleanup site with an address marker. And so the contract crews know where to go and what to do and how to clean it up as far as the priority order. They are also going through and they're conducting pre-testing of many of the sites for asbestos. There was a couple of approaches that could be taken on this. One approach is basically assume everything is contaminated with asbestos and treat it as such. Or you could also test many of the sites, and if they're asbestos-free, that accelerates the cleanup just that much more. The state has opted to go do a bunch of pre-testing, and they are conducting that work now, and that pre-testing, if it comes back negative, will allow them to even accelerate the cleanup work faster. So that is positive news for us if these sites come back as free of asbestos and other contaminants, that it will hopefully lead to a quicker cleanup. The weather is not helping either. The weather is presenting some big challenges. As we're scraping that ash and soil off, there's two problems associated with it if it's too soupy. That's probably the best word to use for it. If it's too soupy, as you're driving down the road, it's going to spill out of the truck, and we're going to be spreading debris up and down the road. The stuff has to be pretty hard. And so this rain's not helping with that. And the second item is the landfill simply will not accept soupy material because they can't place it and compact it in the landfill. It just kind of runs all over the place. So they want to make sure things are a little bit dried out, but getting the truck certified, getting the plan laid out, getting the air monitors in place, getting the asbestos testing done, and just getting the plan on the ground took longer than the state anticipated. And so we are expecting that the debris removal will start in earnest at the middle of this month, most likely during the week of the 18th. The 18th is a holiday, and so we are hopeful and expecting, and the state has indicated that they expect their crews will be starting on January 19th, and we should see significant work starting at that time. The first location that will be cleaned up is Bear Lake Estates. Bear Lake Estates is the largest mobile home park we have in the burn scar, over 200 sites located in the city of Phoenix. So cleanup efforts will start there first. And that's where we'll see the crews show up initially. Following that, they will branch out to other priority sites, which include the Mountain View Estates in Talent, and then the North Ridge Terrace area, which is between Phoenix and Medford, and comprises a couple of mobile home parks, one of which is the Whispering Pines Mobile Home Park. Other priorities that are within the burn scar, those what I just talked about are Tier 1. The Tier 2 priorities include the Barnum subdivision in the city of Phoenix, and this includes the Barnum Drive, Arana Drive, Branham Way, and Dano Drive. And so that's in the Tier 2 area. The Talent neighborhoods between Highway 99 and Talent Avenue, including Ganges Drive, Village Court, Creekside Way, Davidson Way, and Arnos Road, are part of Tier 2, as is the Coleman Creek Mobile Home Park located in Phoenix, and lastly the Samuel Loop subdivision in Phoenix. Those are the Tier 2 locations. So as the contractor comes on board, we're going to see them start in the Bear Lake Estates. They'll move to those other Tier 1, and depending on how many subcontractors and how long this work takes, they'll be moving to those Tier 2 sites, and we will continue to provide updates regarding Tiers 3, 4, 5 until this cleanup is completely accomplished. One important element of this continues to be the providing of rights of entry and the questionnaires. The state has sent out questionnaires to all the property owners. If a questionnaire is not returned and they have a right of entry, the state's still going to proceed with the cleanup, but that questionnaire helps them accelerate this effort and helps them in the cleanup to make this go quicker. So we'd appreciate all the property owners that have burned property provide a right of entry and complete that questionnaire to the state so they can complete that work. One item, and I'm going to touch on it when we talk about the housing mission, all these priorities may be adjusted depending on what happens regarding the housing mission that FEMA is trying to accomplish. As we have stated before, their number one priority is cleaning up mobile home parks to then put FEMA survivors back into those same mobile home parks, and we support that effort. Should that effort continue to progress in a positive manner, these priorities will be changed, and those mobile home parks, which FEMA intends to use to house people, will become the first priorities. So the Tier 1 and Tier 2 lists that we covered will be reprioritized if FEMA gets closer to prioritizing those mobile home parks for that housing effort. So that's yet to occur, and we're hopefully that's going to be accomplished here soon. So let's change gears and talk about the emergency housing piece and the sheltering piece. So the sheltering and the feeding of thousands of survivors from these fires has been completed by a variety of means. As of yesterday, 45% of the survivors were simply staying with friends and family. That's a number you've heard before. 16% remain in hotels, 14% are in RVs. So a lot of those numbers have not changed a lot. With basically people staying with friends and family being the number one location where people are at. But for those that need assistance, initially this was completed by the county at the expo grounds. That was then turned over to Red Cross, and Red Cross took over the management of this, and then due to COVID, did it through a non-congregant way. And as of last Thursday, on December 31st, Red Cross was housing 500 individuals in 261 hotel rooms. That number has dropped significantly since the middle of December. We're down over 60 individuals, and as people continue to find options for housing. We've talked before about Red Cross's contract with the state was ending on December 31st. And the state was intending to take that over. That has occurred. On January 1st, the state of Oregon, through the Oregon Department of Human Services, has assumed the role of housing and feeding survivors directly. The status and what that looks like if you're a survivor should not change. The housing and the feeding should remain the same, and as far as we know, it is remaining the same, and those services are continuing. What has changed is who you call, though. And so if people need help, or if you're a survivor and you need to get a hold of somebody, call 833-669-0554. This is a hotline number to the Oregon Department of Human Services Wildfire Survivor Line for people to report problems or to seek help. So it's important to note that if you're sleeping on a couch, if you're sleeping with a friend, if you're staying in some location and the status of that changes to where you no longer have housing, call 1-833-669-0554, and the state should be able to provide some assistance in the same fashion that Red Cross was completing. So that handoff is complete. Our understanding is the state is seeking some legislative action to continue to fund this program all the way through June of 2022. And so that is dependent upon some legislative action, but that is the plan right now to fund this through June of 2022. At the same time, the MAST process, the multi-agency sheltering transition team, has re-engaged, and they are interviewing survivors. And the purpose of this is for each survivor to be interviewed and options explored and try to find them a permanent housing location so they can get out of the hotel rooms, which I think if anybody has stayed in a motel room for a very lengthy period of time, recognize that it's not the ideal situation, and getting into more permanent status is appreciated by everybody. That's the emergency housing piece for those people that simply don't have other options. For phase 2, which is largely being done by FEMA's direct housing mission, There are several steps to that, and we'll report out some statistics on that. Currently, FEMA has 209 households out of 312 households that originally requested assistance. So we're down from 312 to 209 now. Part of that drop is some people found alternative housing, but also 68 households are currently housed in FEMA units as follows. We have 19 units placed at Willow Estates in White City. These are mobile home units, the large units that have multi-bedrooms for larger families. We have 35 households and 18 pads located at Southern Oregon RV Park. And we have 16 households located in a potential 38 pads located at Valley of the Rogue State Park on I-5. The Willow Estates facility in White City has space for 4 more, and they expect to locate those trailers and license those survivors in next week, and then all 23 sites at Willow Estates will be filled. The Southern Oregon RV Park basically is full today, and there is not room for anybody else at the moment, but as spaces free up, we will allow other survivors in there. And Valley of the Rogue State Park has considerable space. There's 38 potential sites there, of which 16 are full. But locating people there has been a challenge because of the distance. It's not the most convenient place for people to live. Their service is not nearby. There's a lack of Wi-Fi, and there's some other challenges associated with that. So if we've started off with 312, we're down to 209. What happens to these remaining 209? So the plan is the same as we've talked about before. The number one priority is to clean up existing mobile home parks and locate people within those sites. The number one priority for that currently is Talent Mobile Estates on Arnos Road, which is in the city of Talent. There's 80 pads located there, and that is the first priority, to clean that site up and relocate people there. Also high priorities are Wagner Creek Estates on South Pacific Highway and Royal Oaks Mobile Manor, also on South Pacific Highway between Medford and Phoenix. The second priority is continuing to utilize existing parks such as the Southern Oregon RV Park, Immigrant Lake. FEMA is also looking at doing work at the Pear Tree RV Park located in Phoenix. Pear Tree RV Park is a park that did not burn in the fire. It's located on the north side of the freeway. There's 20 spaces in Pear Tree Park that can be expanded, and FEMA is in the final design stages of that work, and there's to locate 20 additional survivors in there. Lastly, until everyone is placed, all options will be considered, and they're continuing to look at options including group sites. The leading candidate right now is the Cobra Road site. So Cobra Road site is property owned by the Phoenix Talent School District off of Cobra Road. It's the location where the buses are parked and there's ball fields there. And they are looking at potentially building a large group site there to house survivors in trailers and RVs there as well. The bottom line is until all 209 of these people are placed, FEMA is going to continue their work to try to find places to locate them and to house those survivors so they have some place to stay. Lastly, non-FEMA eligible survivors. Just give a quick update on that. Currently, we have 40 spaces at the Southern Oregon RV Park that are being paid for by this. Previously, it was Red Cross. Now it's being paid for by the Department of Human Services, the Oregon Department of Human Services. And these are RVs that were donated through Rogue Retreat and the Phoenix Talent School District to survivors. So we have 40 people in the Southern Oregon RV Park under that status, and we have 10 families, households located at the Immigrant Lake under that same status. That program is funded through October 31st, 2021. And then there's all the other variety of private efforts that continue to work to locate and house survivors in response to this event. The last item I would just note is I provided a lot of statistics and updates on this effort throughout the last several months. We'd encourage people to go to the Jackson County website and look up Rogue Valley Rebuilds, and that is a website that has a wealth of information. It's a website that is intended to assist survivors from Phoenix and Talent in Jackson County and all the burn area. It's a website that all of us participate in and put data into. And so for all survivors or those simply wanting updates on the response, go to Rogue Valley Rebuilds on the Jackson County website and you can find additional information there.